This lesson is over surface area of prisms and cylinders. So obviously the objective, students be able to find the surface area of prisms and cylinders. Go figure. So first off, the prisms. The surface area of a prism, the formula looks like this, and I use SA for surface area, so that's all one variable. This capital B is the area of the base. So depending on what the base is, it depends on what formula you'll use for that. So if the base is a triangle, you use 1/2 base times height. If the base is a square, then you'll use length times width or base times height. So that's the base area. Then the P is the perimeter of the base. So again, that depends on what the shape the base is, but you add all the sides together. And the last time is the H is the height of your prism. So you have to be careful. H is the height of your prism. If the base is a triangle, then this base area is 1/2 base times height. That height and this height is different. This height is the height of your triangle of the base. This is the height of your whole prism. So make sure you're being careful with that. So I listed out some steps to solving or to finding the surface area. The first step is you're going to find the bases and what shape are they. That should be a pretty easy one. There's not a lot of work to do with that. Then use the formulas to find the area of the base. So the same formulas we did it in the last chapter. Then find the perimeter of the base. Again, you just add all the sides together. And then plug all your information into your surface area formula. So find the surface area of the following prism. Now this one, since it's a rectangular prism, you can actually choose a bunch of different options for the base. There's several different ways you could do it. I'm going to pick, for my bases, I'm going to pick this rectangle, which means this will be the other base. Again, if you wanted to do kind of the front and back, you could. So my bases are rectangles. And that means the formula is just base times height or length times width. Whichever way. I shouldn't put that in parentheses like that because it looks like multiplying. So then finding the area of your base. So again, that is length times width, which is 5 times 6. Doesn't matter which one is which. So that's 30. So the area of that base is 30 inches squared. Then the second step is finding the perimeter of your base. Well, the perimeter is add all your sides together. So we have 5, 6, 5, and 6. So you have perimeter is 5 plus 6 plus 5 plus 6. Remember, there's a different formula that's a little shortcut to that if you want, but if I were you, I wouldn't worry about it. I would just add all your sides together. 5 plus 6 plus 5 plus 6 is 22. So then last but not least, we plug it into our surface area formula. So this is the formula, 2 times the base area plus perimeter times height. 2 times the base area plus the perimeter times height. Just want to make sure I double check. There we go. And again, that height is the height of the prism. So since I called this my base, the height of my prism then is this line. So I have 2 times my base area was 30, plus my perimeter, which is 22, times the height, which I just said was that length, is 10. So since I used the base that was on the right-hand side, it's kind of on its side, so that makes this your height. So make sure you're careful with that. Then from here, you can type it in your calculator exactly how you see it. I like to go step by step. 2 times 30 is 60. 22 times 10 is 220. Then add those together. You should end up getting 280. And technically, that's inches squared still. 280 inches squared because it still is an area. It's just the surface area. So it is a little bit of work because you have to do what we did last chapter. You have to find the area. Then you have to find the perimeter. And then you have to plug it into a formula. So it's almost like 3 different equations all for one problem. So it does, it's a lot of equations, and the problems take a little bit of time, but you're just plugging numbers into formulas for right now. Find the surface area of the following prism. So this one, the bases, now you have to pick these triangles. Remember, your bases, if it's any shape besides a rectangle, you have to pick that for your base. So if it's a triangle, that's got to be your base. A hexagon, it's got to be your base. A pentagon, that's got to be your base. So that's a triangle. So the area is 1/2 base times height. So my base area is, let's see here. This is going to be more confusing. That's okay. Is 1/2 base times height. Now this is going to be a little bit more difficult. If you look at the triangle for your base, it says it's 8 and it says these are the same. So I'm going to draw that triangle right here. So it says these two are 8. Hold on, I'm trying to see if it says, oh, there we go. Sorry, it was covered. So it says this one's also 8. Okay, so this is, yeah. So since it's an equilateral triangle like that, to find our height, we're going to have to use the Pythagorean theorem, make that right angle. Since it is isosceles, I know it's equilateral, but it's also isosceles. That means it separates this to 4 and 4. So now we can use the Pythagorean theorem with just this side. So this one's a little bit more work, but that's okay. Let's do it this way. So we have 4 squared plus h squared is equal to my 8 squared. So that's 16 plus h squared is equal to 64. Subtract 16. H squared is equal to 64 minus 16 is 48. And then last but not least, don't forget, you need to take the square root of both sides. The square root of 48 is 6.93. So my height is 6.93. So 1/2 base times height is 1/2. My base is 8. My height is 6.93. Then just type that in your calculator. 0.5 times 8 times 6.93. So that's 27.72. That's the base area. Then the perimeter of your base should be really easy. They're all 8, so it's just 8 plus 8 plus 8, which is 24. So then your surface area formula, we have 2 times the base area plus the perimeter times your height. Just want to make sure before I mess anything up. So that's 2 times 27.72 plus the perimeter is what we just found, 24 times the height is now this length because our bases are now on the bottom and top. So 27.72 times 2 is 55.44. 24 times 3 is 72. And again, you can do this from this part. You can put it all in your calculator if you want to. That's fine. You end up with 127.44 centimeters squared. So I want you to go ahead and do this one on your own. So pause the video, do this one on your own, and then hit play so you can see, make sure you did it right. So this one, the bases are trapezoids. So remember the formula for the trapezoid is the area is 1/2 base 1 plus base 2 times the height. So for my base area, it is 1/2 base 1 and base 2. So this is the trapezoid I'm looking at here. And these sides are the same, so that's nice. I know this base is 9 because it's the same as this base. So I have 9 for one of them. And then this base is 4. It's got that labeled, so that's good. And then the height. Remember, the height is talking about the height of the trapezoid, which is right here, which they say is this 4.3. So again, remember this one, you have to make sure you do the parentheses first. 4 plus 9 is 13. Then type that in your calculator. 0.5 times 13 times 4.3 is 27.95. That is your base area. Then your base perimeter. So we know that this length is 9. This length is 4. Then this length is 5, which means this length is 5. And then it says they're congruent, so this one's 5 over here. So that's what you need. 4 4595. So 4 plus 5 plus 9 plus 5 is 23. And then my surface area formula is 2 times the base area, 27.95, plus my perimeter times the height of my prism. Now again, make sure you realize the height of your prism is perpendicular to your bases. So here's my base. So the height has to be this length. That's not labeled, so this length is the same, this length is the same, and that one is labeled as 10. So make sure you're being careful with that. So 2 times 27.95 is 55.9. 23 times 10 is 230. Add those together, you get 285.9. So moving on, now we're talking about the surface area of a cylinder. Now here's the thing, the surface area of a cylinder is 2 times the base area plus the circumference times the height. Now remember, the perimeter of a circle is the circumference. I don't necessarily know why they make a special name for it. So really this is the same formula what we did before, it's just instead of perimeter, it's the circumference. And that's why earlier I put the cylinders in the same category as the prism, because it is the exact same formula. Now here's the deal. I always memorized this formula when I was in high school because that way you could use that formula for everything. 2 times the base area plus the perimeter times height. That works for every prism and cylinder. But for you guys, you'll probably use this formula because if you have a formula sheet, this formula makes it go a little bit quicker. And really all they did was they just plugged stuff in. So the base area, well, the area of a circle is pi r squared. So that's what they put here, pi r squared. And then the circumference is 2 times pi times r, so that's just 2 pi r. So again, they just plug numbers into that. So this is actually going to be the quicker one to use. Again, the only reason that I didn't use that in high school is because they made me memorize the formulas, and rather than memorizing a whole new formula, I just memorized the one that worked for all of them. But we're going to do it both ways. So find the base is obviously a circle, which is 2 times pi times r squared. So notice that this 6 is the diameter, so that means the radius is 3. So we have the base area is pi times 3 squared, which is 9 pi. I'm going to go ahead and say that I would multiply that out and get a decimal, 28.27. Then the circumference is 2 times pi times r, so that's 2 times pi times 3, which is 6 pi, which is 6 pi is 18.85. And now we have, again, the surface area is 2 times the base area, 28.27, plus the circumference, times the height, and the height here is 15. And again, from here, honestly, you can just put that in your calculator. 2 times 28.27 plus 18.85 times 15. That gives you 339.2. Now, technically, if you wanted to, you could leave it in terms of pi. So it would be 2 times the base area plus circumference times 15 times the height. So that would end up being 18 pi plus 6 times 15 is 90 pi. And then you can add those together. 18 plus 90 is 108 pi. So you could find it in terms of pi if you wanted to. I just think it's a little bit easier to use things we're comfortable with. So I just wanted to check. Yeah, got you, same answer. I was just double checking. So you can do it that way, that's fine, but the other way to do it is to use this surface area formula. And again, they already subbed in your area and your circumference, and the reason we can do that is because all cylinders have circles as bases. So all we have to do is plug in our radius. So our radius, again, is 3. So that is 2 times pi times 3 squared plus 2 times pi times 3 times the height. And then again, for me, you technically, I think, could type this on your calculator. It just makes me a little bit nervous. There's a lot of stuff to put in there. And so I'm going to start solving it kind of step by step. So I'm going to do order of operations. Says the exponents are first. So that's 2 times pi times 9 plus 2 pi 3, 18. Then multiplying and dividing. So 2 and 9 is 18. I guess you could multiply by pi as well, mine as well. So you can just type in 2 times pi times 9, 56.55. 2 times pi times 3 times 15 is 282.74. Then add those together. Plus, you end up 339.29, which is the exact same thing we had before. Again, if you wanted to leave it in terms of pi, this would be 18 pi. That would be that 90 pi, and so you could do it in terms of pi as well. So again, since you're given this formula, I would use that one, but again, whichever one you want to use is totally fine. They're really the same formula. The second one, they just plug the things in for you already. So this one, the radius is 7. So my surface area is 2 times pi r squared plus 2 pi r times the height. So the radius is 7, so 2 times pi times 7 squared plus 2 times pi times 7 times the height is 9. So again, I do this step by step, so that's 2 times pi times 49. Then you can just multiply that out, 2 pi times 49, 307.88. 2 times pi times 7 times 9 is 395.84. Then we add those together. I get 703.72. I guess I should have said this should have been a you do as well, so I guess it's probably too late, but make sure you're doing that correctly. That's all for this lesson. If you have any questions, let me know, but this is going to be one of those that it takes a lot of practice, so make sure you're paying attention to that. The hardest thing, in my opinion, was the one that we did earlier where we had to use the Pythagorean theorem. But again, that Pythagorean theorem, we've done a lot in the last couple chapters. If you have any questions, make sure you let me know.